Of all the books that I've written, the most challenging book I've ever written is the book, The Truth About Stress. Why? Because there's so many different understandings and so many different conversations about what stress is. But the reality is, stress, whatever that word means to you, is an everyday part of your life. So, truth, you can't escape it. Truth, you can't deny it's part of your life. Truth, as much as you want to maybe deny it or avoid it or escape it, it's always going to be a part of your life. The word itself becomes so technical because there's so many psychological aspects that have been written about it. There's so many medical facts about it. But the reality is, stress is an everyday part of your life. And that's why when I came down to really trying to define the word, I came up with my own simple definition. Stress is anything in your life that makes you uptight. Now think about that for a moment. Anything in your life that makes you uptight. That's an everyday part of your life, correct? I mean, you'll never have a day that you don't have something in your life that will make you uptight. And I've had many people say to me, yep, I understand that. But you know what? I'm just going to eliminate it. I'm just going to eliminate it. And the truth is, the more you seek to eliminate stress, the more control you give it in your life. Why? Because when you fight it, what are you doing? You're increasing its presence in your life. To eliminate stress, or seek to eliminate stress, creates more stress. And so that's the importance of our subject today and what we want to talk about. We want to talk about the concept of understanding stress, because that's what we have to grow to understand. It's not just something in our life. It's an everyday part of our life. So the more you and I understand stress, the more we will be able to control stress. So our topic is understanding stress, but our focus word is control. Now, let me walk you through process. You have a day. That day is going to bring you a multitude of events. No single day of your life is just one event. It's a multitude of events. So as the events come toward you, what do? You define what that event means to you. You define how you're going to deal with it. To do that, you have to make a choice. Now, choices in life come in one of two directions. They either come from your emotions up or your mind down. And that direction is created, whether you go for the event and it's emotion up or mind down, it's created by what you feel that event means to your life. I mean, you've had days where an event has been brought to you and your attitude has been, I didn't need this today. You've had days where something has been brought to you and you're prepared for it. Now, if I don't need it, I fight it. If I fight that emotion of stress, I just make it more stressful. But if I'm at a pace I can manage, if I'm patient with what my life is doing, and I know that this day is something I can either control or lose control of, that creates the choice, the direction, the pathway that whatever that event is going to take to my life. So, in understanding stress, you and I have to be able to deal with the idea that stress is more than something that is just a part of your life. It's an everyday part of your life. And in understanding that, what it brings to your life creates the meaning that that stress is going to have to your life. So, understanding stress begins with you and I knowing that we need to control the stress in our life. And controlling that stress is the choice that we make. So, in understanding stress, we need to be able to work through what that stress means to our life. Now, let's talk about the life that you have. Because you and I live in a 4-room house, and you've heard me talk about this before. You have 4 rooms that you live in. You live in your business room, which really is your number 1 room. And pardon me as I play with this because I'm trying to get this up on the screen for us. But you live in that room. That business room is your number 1 room of mental stress. So the more events that room is filled with, the more you're going to be able to deal with what that stress is going to mean to that room. Because mental stress wears on you. You know this. Every day of your life, mental stress wears on you. And so the more that it wears on you, the more it's going to affect your life. So if I have a bad day at work, what do? I normally take that home with me. And so the mental stress that I take home with me is going to do what? It's going to affect me in the way that it can affect the people who share my family room with me. And so if it affects that day of my life and I take it home with me, then the stress then is transferred from my business room, where there's a lot of events that have a lot of mental happenings in our life, to my family room, which is my number 1 room of emotional stress. And you and I both know that family can be very emotional. So when we take it home with us and we walk in, what do? We don't allow the family to have the part of us that we need to bring there, because many times we bring the residue to it. So the family room then gets punished. Now, you have a 3rd room, which is your social room. And that's the room where you're supposed to go to be able to relax. But one of the things I've learned about life today is that very, very, very few people know how to relax. Would you say that you are a person who really understands how to relax? Or are you a person that in trying to relax, you actually take away your ability to be calm, to be present, and to bring to your life what it is you need to be able to bring? So look at our guiding thought, because you move from that social room, you moved into the concept of your personal room. Now, if our focus word is the word that we talk about being control, There has to be a central part of our life where control can happen. And that central part of your life is your personal room. In the world of counseling, in the world of mentoring, in the world of working with human behavior, the thing that you understand is if you don't have a place to go where you are alone with you, you're going to find that stress is going to become overwhelming. That personal room is important. Why? Because you're by yourself. You know this as well as I do. Look at all the other rooms in your life. That business room, that family room, that social room, and they all are connected by people. Yeah, some of the people you enjoy, but you and I both go through times when we just want to get away from people. So we need that time alone with ourselves. Look at our thought. Stress is a natural part of your life. Now, we've said that. But here's the deeper part of this. It has both a positive and a negative aspect to its presence in your life. When the negative aspect of stress is strong, you will lose control of your life. Now, the negative makes you uptight. It puts you in a world of uncertainty. It fills you with doubt. It fills you with that worry. And you are uncertain about it. So the more we react to stress, the more stress becomes a negative in our life. So the fact, most people go in circles because their life is out of control. It's out of balance, which creates a lack of inner strength to handle the doubts life throws at them. You see, folks, there is an order to being able to control the stress in your life. And it's putting the rooms of your life in the correct order. It's your personal room first, making sure there is time for you. It's your family room second, making sure that you have that support. You have that feeling of connection with those who are the most important people in your life. Then it's your business room, because that's where you normally go to define yourself. And then it's the social room where you have that time to relax. Most people go in circles because their life is out of control, out of balance, which creates a lack of inner strength to be able to handle the doubts, to handle the uncertainties, to handle those times when all of a sudden life just seems to sort of wear on you. So, what are the most common things that life throws at you? Okay? First, lessons you aren't ready for. And we all have those lessons, right? Life brings us things that, we're not ready for. And when you and I are not ready for it, what's the result? We react to it. And anytime you and I are reacting, what are we doing? We're fighting. And we're fighting with what we need to be able to understand and be able to control. Life is always going to bring you lessons. It's always going to bring you events. But the key is understanding those three words. Pace. Can you control your pace? Patience. How patient are you? Because patience is really important. If I don't have patience, then what am I going to do? I'm going to react. Patience is where you and I grow to understand and see the pathway that will allow us to have that control that we need. Identity crisis. We all go through times in life when we're uncertain about us. correct? We all go through times when we're not sure who we are. And anytime that you're not sure who you are, you lose control of your life, because rather than slowing down, pacing ourselves, having the patience, being persistent, what do? We react. And when we're reacting, we go to other people. And when we go to other people, what happens? They give us their opinions. And when it becomes their opinions, then it's not us. We're living through them. What are the most common things life throws at you? Fear that finds an emotional attachment in your life. You know the power of fear, right? You and I live with those 6 fears that we have spent so many times talking about. Fear of the unknown, fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of loss, fear of success. And when fear increases, it strengthens the 3 things that negative fear uses to capture you and make you a prisoner within yourself. Because when negative fear has control, what happens? It increases your doubt, which means I've lost my belief. It makes me worry more, which means I don't trust myself. It means that I'm uncertain, so I don't have the faith in me. So at that time, I'm not controlling my stress is controlling me. Economic surprises. One of the most common things that life throws at us. You and I both know that in our world today, most people struggle when it comes to finances. That most people don't know how to budget. They don't know how to save. They don't know how to be wise when it comes to money. And so when all of a sudden there is an economic surprise, and all of a sudden maybe that event takes you in a different path than what you had planned, it's going to throw you out of control. And when you're out of control, stress is going to control you. So here's some simple truths. Circles wear you down and keep you repeating what you keep talking about, not wanting to repeat. Have you been there? You ever trapped yourself in your circle of sameness? And in that circle of sameness, have you ever found yourself, I'm talking about, I don't want to do this, I don't want to be here, I don't want to stay here, but you can't seem to break out of that circle of sameness. And I'll go back to something. One of the biggest reasons you can't break out of that circle of sameness is because that circle of sameness has control of your life, because it has built a wall of fear in your life. And if you're to take control of your life and be able to understand stress and control the stress in your life, you've got to understand what the circles that you allow yourself to live in do to your life. Simple truth. Control is not something that is taken away from you. It's something you give away through your behavior. Do you think that when you go through your moments of doubt, that many times it makes you not believe in yourself? And when you don't believe in yourself, what happens? You generally give control of your life to someone else. Would you agree that when stress has control of your life, you worry more? And the more that you and I worry, the less trust we have in ourselves. The less trust I have in myself, what happens? I tend to reach out and ask people what I should do. And understand this, most of the people that you reach out to are struggling as much as you are. Does it make sense? That when I feel uncertain about me, I'm going to look for someone who can help me define who I am. Every time you give away control of your life, you become an actor in someone else's life. Simple truth. Behavior creates a pathway, and that pathway creates the journey you are on. You remember how many times I've told you you are exactly in your life where you want to be? And people don't seem to really grasp the depth of that. Because so many times I have people fight with me over the fact this is not where I planned on being in my life. You are in your life based upon the choices you have made, and with each of those choices, there is behavior. The behavior is what sets the direction of your life. Look at yourself. You know, I really, really, really do believe that life can be boiled down to one question. Is this choice, is this decision that I'm about to make, is it going to feed my confusion or strengthen my clarity? Anything that feeds your confusion is going to increase the negative stress in your life. And when that negative stress increases, what does it do? It strengthens itself through doubt, worry, and uncertainty. But if this choice is going to bring clarity to my life, what does it do? It strengthens my belief, my trust, and my faith in myself. And this is why I say to you, before you make any decision in life, take a deep breath. Why deep breath? Because that slows you down. Take that deep breath and ask yourself, is this decision going to feed my confusion? Am I building it through doubt, worry, and uncertainty? Or is it going to strengthen my clarity? Is it going to enhance my belief, my trust, and my faith in myself? Every choice you make is filled with behavior. That behavior creates the path that you're going. And that path is either going to go in one of two directions. It's going to take you deeper into confusion, or it's going to strengthen you with clarity. Simple truth. When a person has to have control, they punish others with their behavior. You ever been around a control freak? You ever been around someone who always has to be in control? And if you don't give them control, they have no use for you. And do you understand that people who are control freaks are control freaks because they don't have the belief, the trust, and the faith in themselves? Does that make sense to you? And when you and I have to always be in control, we increase the negative stress that we put on other people. And in doing that, we increase the negative stress we put on ourselves. Why? Because we're always fighting that battle for control. Simple truth. Control that slows you down is healthy. But when it speeds you up, it's very dangerous. Think about your life. You ever had a time that there was a decision you were going to make? In reality, you were calm about that decision. And when you're calm, what does it do? It creates a sense of clarity about the importance of this decision. And when that calmness and that clarity comes together, it creates that time of confidence. You see, when control or when stress slows you down, and you have time to breathe rather than try to catch your breath, you are going to control the stress in your life. But if that event comes to your life and you're filled with doubt, you're filled with worry, you're filled with uncertainty, what's going to happen? It's going to speed you up. And the faster you move, the more dangerous you become. Have you found that true about yourself? If you're out of control, can you run over people? If you're out of control, can you do damage to other people? When you're out of control, can you inflict pain in people? When you're out of control, are you moving so fast you actually can't see what's going on around your life? So, I want to suggest to you 7 steps to having control of your life. Now, if I'm having control of my life, then my pace, my patience, and my persistency is going to allow me to control the stress in my life. It's going to allow me to understand that stress is an everyday part of my life. Stress does not have to do damage to me. Stress does not have to be something that is a negative. So there's a process. And I want to suggest to you that that process is 7 steps. But don't lose sight of this. When you lose control of your life, you increase the stress in your life. When you have control of your life, you can control the effect stress has on your life. If I control the stress in my life and I'm living at a pace with patience that allows me to be persistent with what I'm doing with my life, stress becomes a positive part of my life. But if I'm living in my life and I'm constantly doubting decisions I make, I'm constantly worrying about everything in my life, I always feel uncertain about anything I'm going to do, so I find myself paralyzed. What's the result? Stress becomes a negative aspect of my life. And as much as you might want to run away from it, you can't. You can't run away from stress because it is an everyday part of your life. Understand that. Stress is an everyday part of your life. So, 7 steps to having control of your life. And when you have control of your life, you can control what stress means to your life. Step number 1, clear the confusion from your life. Now, that's easy to write, but it's not always easy to do. But look at our little caveat here. As long as you live in confusion, your life will be filled with emotional clutter. Each day, emotional clutter exists. You lose sight of the positive things that are happening. The result? The loss of control. The result of that, an increase in negative stress in your life. You have any idea how many conversations I have with people? And the thing we talk about the most is all the emotional clutter in their life. Do you understand that emotional clutter creates a fog? You understand that emotional clutter blinds you to what's really happening. Because as long as you live from your emotions up, you have no clarity. And without clarity, I am forced to react. But if I clear that confusion from my life, I sit down, I have an honest conversation with myself, I look at my life, and I ask myself, what behaviors am I living that keeps me in a state of confusion? What am I working to avoid? What do I not want to face? Because confusion is the result of us not being honest about what's happening in our life. So, clearing the confusion. It lets your imagination play and create adventure. I don't know if you can accept this or not, but it is truth. Your mind does not know confusion. Your emotions know confusion. And when your emotions create that fog where uncertainty, worry, and doubt are there, you shut your mind's power off. But when you clear the confusion, your imagination, your playroom, your inner coloring book comes alive with adventure. Clearing the confusion from your life. Invest in letting calmness become a major director of your life. Serious question. How good are you when you're calm? How dangerous are you when you lose calmness? Calmness comes from living from your mind down, because your mind wants you to have clarity. Clearing the confusion faces that fog confusion creates and shows you how to get through it. Listen, the fog that we have in our life, the blindness that we experience in our journey in life, is the result of allowing fear and its three buddies, doubt, worry, and uncertainty, to have control. So if I learn how to live from my mind down rather than my emotions up, I can remove that doubt, that worry, that uncertainty, and I can replace it with the strength that believing in me creates. Clearing the confusion establishes a common agenda between your spirit, your mind, and your emotions. Let me tell you something, folks. When your mind and your emotions are connected, your spirit becomes your inner motivation. When your mind and your emotions are disconnected, you lose that self-motivation. So step number one, clear the confusion from your life. Number two, open yourself to taking the risk that will keep you creatively alive and being challenged by the adventure. Look at this caveat. It is so important. The human spirit is an adventurous spirit. But when you stop taking risk, you settle for what is. And that means you surround your life with others who have settled. Settling weakens your inner spirit and gives fear a point of personal control. And when that happens, the stress in your life just increases. Now, is there stress in taking a risk? Absolutely. But you and I are more willing to take risk when we've done our research and we believe that this is right for us. And we trust that this decision is what I need for my life and I'm going to go for it. And I have the faith to step into the unknown. You understand that when you don't have an adventurous spirit, you live in boredom? When there is nothing for you to look forward to, when there is no purpose for you, you become bored. And do you think that when you become bored, you settle for what is? And every day that you settle, you take the greatest gift of your lifetime and you waste it. You abuse it. or you spend it. Settling will destroy the spirit that you were born with for adventure. So being willing to take risk, let your imagination have control of the journey. I don't know about you, but I love my imagination. I like dreaming. I like planning. I like having a purpose. I like having something that I'm reaching for. And when I'm willing to take that risk, because I do have belief, trust, and faith in myself, and I have that, then my imagination is free to soar. And I'm always looking at the horizon. I'm always planning. I'm always seeing. I'm always developing. I'm always planning a direction that will bring more adventure and more motivation to my life. Willing to take a risk involves trusting yourself. How much do you trust yourself? Do you ever walk to the edge of what you've said you wanted for your life? And you stood right there and you could see it, but you didn't trust yourself enough to step into what was in front of you. You ever walked away from what you've said you wanted for your life because you didn't trust yourself? You understand, if you walk away, you don't ever get to go back to that point again. Being willing to take risks finds new pathways to having your best life ever. I'm going to tell you something. When you're willing to take risk, and what's the difference between a risk and a gamble? Risk is, I've done my research. I know what behaviors I need to implement. I know it's going to take the right pace. It's going to take patience. And I'm going to have to be persistent. I gamble is when I just run in and I have no idea because I've done no research, and I run to the edge and I jump and realize I've made a mess. But when you open yourself to taking risks because of what it brings to your life, every day your life is going to be better, because growth is about improvement. Improvement is always about bettering yourself. Being willing to take risk establishes that common agenda between your spirit, your mind, and your emotions. And folks, when your spirit, your mind, and your emotions are tied together, there is no stopping you. And when you are in control of your future, yes, there's going to be stress, but that stress is going to be a positive stress founded in what you want to do to improve your life. Step number 3, never stay where your individuality is being taken away. This is critical. I have found that so much of the negative stress in a lot of people's lives is because they're in environments they don't belong in. In any environment where you are being forced to conform to what you don't believe, you have to give up being you. Do you know how much stress there is involved if I have to give up being me? Huh? You were placed on this earth to be an original, not a carbon copy of what others think you should be. Give up your individuality and you are no longer you. And I'm going to tell you something. When you are no longer you, stress will eat you alive. You know why? Because inside of all of us, there's that new you that is just craving to get out. It's screaming, let's go. Let's do something. Let's move forward. But if I don't believe, trust, and have faith in myself, I tend to give control of my life away to other people. And then I become what they want me to be. And I stop being the original that God put me on this earth to become. Being the individual you were born to be lets you be you. Do you know who you are? I was doing a recording a podcast yesterday, and I asked the gentleman that I was interviewing, tell us who you are. And it's amazing when you ask people, who are you? How it's easier them to tell you what they're not than what they see themselves as. But when you're the original, you have that foundation of knowing your purpose, knowing your agenda, and finding yourself ready to be the adventurous you. Being the individual you were born to be increases your personal foundation of self-worth. It's amazing whenever you find out who you are. There's a gentleman that God has led to my life that I just absolutely respect. His name is Walter Gregory. And Walter is probably one of the greatest definitions I've ever seen of someone who believes in their self, who's willing to take a risk, who's comfortable in his own skin, who knows what he wants. And even though other people may not understand and they may want him to change, he is going to be Walter. And in being Walter, he's increased his foundation of self-worth, his belief, his trust, and his faith in himself. Being the individual you were born to be finds the uniqueness and builds on it. I'm not you. You're not me. I don't want to be you. Because if I become you, I can't be me. And I was not put on this earth to be you. I was put on this earth to be me. And the more that I trust and have faith in myself, and the more that I work to be the uniqueness, the individual that I was put on this earth to be, the greater my value is to myself and the people who walk into my life. Being the individual you were born to be establishes a common agenda. I have my purpose. I know how I'm going to achieve what it is I want to achieve. And that common agenda is between my spirit, my inner motivation, my mind, my creative center, and my emotions, which give me the support that I need in order to continue to go forward. Number 4, take responsibility for what you have done. How many people have you known who never wanted to be responsible for their behavior? How many people have you known who always have someone or something to blame for what their life is not? And isn't it amazing how acceptable it has become to blame? You know, Mikey made me do it. The devil made me do it. And yet, you and I, to have control of our life and be able to understand what stress brings to our life, we have to be able to take responsibility for what we have done. Look at our caveat here. As long as you exist in a world where blame is acceptable, you have no reason to face your life with honesty. How much truth is there in that? The result is behavioral denial, which takes away control of your life. When I live in denial, I am out of control. When I'm out of control, what am I going to do? I'm going to bring that feeling of being overwhelmed to my life, and negative stress is just going to come and it's going to nibble at me. You are an individual. You are responsible for your life, which means I'm responsible for the choices I've made. And if I want to have control of my life, if I want to improve my life, if I want to be able to control the stress around my life, I have to be responsible for me. Taking responsibility lessens the bad stress in your life. Folks, blame, excuses, justification, and denial just increase the negative stress in your life. So when I take responsibility for my life, for my decisions, for what I've done and what I'm doing, you know what? I'm going to have stress, but I will handle it. Increases your personal honesty. I bet I've said this to you 100 times. Most people want honesty as long as it's not honest. Do you think you live being honest to yourself? And if you and I are not honest, do you think that we know when we're not being honest? Do you think if we know that what that does is it increases the negative stress in our life? Other people don't fight with you, you fight with yourself when it comes to knowing you. Taking responsibility faces the fear of what if, and takes away the fear used to control you. The interesting thing about what if is it's a question you can't answer unless you answer it with another what if question. Taking responsibility takes away what if and replaces it with what is. And then it goes back to establishing that common agenda between your spirit, your mind, and your emotions. Your mind wants honesty. Your spirit wants honesty. And when they come together with emotions that are based in honesty, you have control of your life. And yes, you're going to have stress, but you will control the stress. Number 5, reach out and create a world of collective genius. Do you think you're smart? Do you give yourself credit for how smart you are? You ever put yourself down? You ever have times when you really don't believe in you? And when you have those moments, doesn't that bring negative stress to your life? You can't put yourself down without increasing the negative stress in your life. I think every one of us are a genius. Why? Because we each have unique talents. We each have things that we can achieve. And when we have that belief, that trust, and that faith in ourselves, and we set our mind free to explore, to become adventurous, to be willing to take risk, yeah, we're going to create some moments of stress, but that stress won't stop us because we have that feeling about ourselves that we can. Folks, when you surround yourself with people who are traveling a similar growth path, there are many common challenges, and from those common challenges, you can learn how others are growing through rather than being trapped by. I don't think anyone enters your life by accident. I really do believe that. I think there's some people who come into your life to show you your doubt, your worry, and your uncertainty. And you're either going to look and learn, or you're going to pause and sit down with them and give them control. I think there are people who come into your life to challenge you. And to challenge you to become better, to become smarter, to become stronger in yourself. But you have to decide who you're comfortable with. Are you more comfortable with people who allow you to be less than what you can be? Or are you more comfortable with people who challenge you and give you the opportunity to step up? Reaching out lets you expand your horizon. You know, sometimes I can stand in the middle of something and I know what I want, but I just can't see it. But with the right people in my life who challenge me with the right questions, they just explode my genius. And the more positive people you have in your life, the more collective genius you have. Reaching out, investment in strengthening your creativeness. I like people who challenge me. Back to the gentleman I was interviewing yesterday on our podcast. And it was really interesting because we were talking about being challenged and how easy it is to get stuck in a world where we just surround our life with people who give us permission to stay where we are. You hear me say this. You are a genius. You have talent, you have ability, but you get to choose what you do with it. And the more you deny your genius, the more you push people out of your life who are there to help you. And folks, when you get in that world where you don't believe in yourself, the world of stress is going to make you so uptight that it can unwind you. Reaching out figures out you're not alone on this journey. There's always people around you who are willing to help you, but there are always people around you too who want to make you their hostage. You got to figure out what you want in your life. And to do that, that will help you establish that common agenda between your spirit, your mind, and your emotions. Number 6, organize your life to experience newness, not stay in sameness. You understand that to have the newness in your life, you got to have an ending. You got to let go of what holds you hostage. And that means I've got to organize my life where I stop staring at the wrong and start focusing on the right. You understand you got to have a time of regrouping where I fight that battle with me, alone by myself. I fight that battle with me, and I allow the new me who wants more for my life, I allow it to win, and I can break free of being trapped in sameness. And folks, then I'm ready to begin anew. You can't begin anew if you're staying where you've been. You can't begin anew if you're not willing to take an honest look at yourself and see whether you're a person who holds yourself hostage or grants yourself freedom. One of the top enemies in your growth journey is sameness. Sameness is about finding reasons and justifications to stay where you are. In sameness, you are trapped in repeating yesterday, not standing in today with a design to improve your life. So would you say that right now in your life, are you more trapped in sameness? Are more about making the decisions that are going to improve your life? Understand, neither one of these is stress. But being trapped in sameness is negative stress that keeps nibbling at your spirit. Or having the design to improve your life, yes, it's going to bring stress, but that stress is going to slow you down. It's going to control your pace, your patience, and your persistency. Newness, let your imagination soar. I love that. Involves in implementing lessons. I'm going to learn the lesson, I'm going to implement it, and I'm going to become better because I've implemented that lesson. Finds new ways of doing old things. You know, yesterday is filled with lessons that you have to define. And so many times I can go back to a place I was in yesterday, and because I'm stronger today in my belief, my trust, and my faith in myself, I can look at that and see where I made a wrong decision and take that and bring it forward now into my life to make me better, smarter, stronger. And when I do that, I have that common agenda between my spirit, my mind, and my emotions that is there telling me, yes, you can. And we will lay the foundation to make sure it happens. And then number 7, learn from where you've been and don't repeat the behaviors that got you off track. When people come to me and they tell me, Richard, I don't know what's wrong with my life. I was going great. I was doing everything right, but for some reason, I'm just not that person anymore. I tell them one thing: stop. Look at where you felt your life was on the right track. What were you doing then that you're not doing now? Let me tell you something. Most of the obstacles you face in life is because you allowed your life to speed up and you lost control. And then that negative stress comes in and you start beating on yourself. And so you don't pause. You just try to move faster. For you and I to grow, we always got to be examining our life from what I've learned. Anytime you feel yourself out of sync, stop. Look at your life. What are you not doing today that you were doing when your life was in sync? When you don't learn from where you have been, you live in a repetitive world where yesterday has no ending. And today becomes a continuation of your confusion. Are you there? Does this define you? You see, the result of that is you are out of control and stress just comes into your life and negative stress begins to nibble at your spirit. So learning from where you have been, let life's lessons find a connection in today. Improvement is taking from the experiences and events that I've had, the positive that I know I can use to continue to improve my life. Increases your world of opportunity. I believe there's always opportunity. You and I just need to slow down, look at the possibility, and see if the possibility is the right decision for us to make. Because always remember, not every possibility is an opportunity, but if I don't slow down and look at the possibility, I can miss the opportunity. You've done that. When I learn from where I've been, fear can no longer control me. And the result, it establishes that common agenda between your mind, your spirit, and your emotions. And folks, when you have that common agenda between your self-motivation, your creative center, your mind, and your support beings, your emotions, there is no stopping you. And yes, you're going to have stress in your life, but that stress is going to release you. It's not going to make you a prisoner. Make sense to you? And I'd like to offer you the deeper side of this. The Truth About Stress is probably one of the most insightful books I've ever written. Because it's really going to take you inside your life, and it's really going to allow you to focus on those 4 rooms of your life. And it's going to give you a process in each of those rooms to bring them in sync with the other rooms of your life. I'm going to tell you something. When you don't have balance in your life, you are a mess. When you don't have those rooms structured correctly, personal, family, business, social, you're a mess. And my book, The Truth About Stress, can do this for you. All you got to do is go to richardflint.com, look for the shop, the Flint store, scroll down to the books, and here's my gift to you. Rather than $14.95, it's $6.95. And folks, by the way, you have people around your life whose life is overstressed. What about making this a gift to them for Christmas? What about, rather than just giving them something that they will look at and maybe put away, give them something that will help them improve their life? Just a thought. Now, let's mark our calendars. Our next webinar is going to be Thursday, December the 12th at 10 a.m. And we're going to talk about a time of celebration. I'm a person who believes we don't know how to celebrate. We don't know how to slow down. Most of us just know how to run until we're out of breath, and then we sit down, catch our breath, and we get up and we run. So I'd like to spend our time together on December the 12th talking about how do you learn to celebrate life? How do you learn to pace yourself? How do you learn to slow down? Then mark your calendar July 17, 18, and 19 for our Star Maker event. My theme, Because I Can, at the PJ National Resort and Spa in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. And this is going to be our last Star Maker. This will be 30 years of doing Star Makers. A lot of people have told me, man, I want to get to one of you Star Makers. Well, this will be your last opportunity, and we're limited to 200 people. And we're over halfway there. So just go to richardflint.com, click on events, and Star Maker is right there. And everything you need to know about Star Maker is right there. Listen, you need to increase the belief, the trust, and the faith in yourself. You need to learn to manage the moments of doubt, worry, and uncertainty in your life. And this will help you do that. So, having control is not about you always having your way. It's about arriving with the strength of your presence and adding to your life by participating through listening and implementing, so you can experience your best life possible. Would you agree that your life is going to be what you want it to be? Would you agree you're in your life where you want to be right now? If you don't want to be there, look at your life. Do away with that negative stress that holds you hostage. Learn the value of pacing yourself, having patience with yourself. Learn the value of being persistent. Food for thought. So, here's what I want for you today. I want you to find something about you that will be built around this I can do. Find a day, a point in your life where you can strengthen the belief, the trust, and the faith in yourself. Because when you do that, you will control the stress in your life. And when you control it, you grow to understand stress is an everyday part of my life, but it doesn't have to be a negative. Thanks for joining me. See you again soon.